Well, guys, Sony's next big Spider-Verse film is going to be Kraven the Hunter, starring Aaron Taylor Johnson, our former MCU Quicksilver, as Sergei Kravenov, aka Kraven the Hunter. And this has been a film that we've all been kind of mixed on when it comes to feelings on it because, Kraven's a really cool character, and we all want to see him in live action, but, we'd much prefer him in an MCU Spider-Man movie, not getting his own movie, but whatever, it's happening, there's no going back, it's too late now. So, we do now have actually a plot leak online for this Kraven the Hunter movie. I don't even know where it originally came from, but it's like all over Twitter and Instagram. I just saw it pop up somewhere. And usually I don't really like spoilers and reading plot leaks and this kind of stuff. And I fully do believe that this is true because 100% sounds like something Sony would do. But, I figured, let's talk about this because this is quite interesting. It's an interesting plot leak. It's not looking too good, to be honest, for this movie. I mean, I had a little bit of hope, but after reading this, that's gone out the window. Because honestly, yikes. I mean, parts of it sound better than Morbius. One of the post-credit scenes is very similar to Morbius and could be just as bad, but it sounds a little bit better. So let's take a look at this. Of course, huge spoiler warning if you don't want to know anything about the Kraven the Hunter movie. There's a lot of spoilers in here, and again, we don't know for a fact that this is true, but I'd say it's pretty likely. It seems pretty accurate. So anyways, let's jump into this. So the character played by Russell Crowe in this film is Vladimir Kravenov, the original Kraven the Hunter. So he has a son named Sergei Kravenov, played by Aaron Taylor Johnson. And this version is very different from the comics version. In this version, he's going to be a millionaire activist who is against the hunting of animals. What? Well, literally already that goes against everything that Kraven the Hunter stands for in the comics. Literally, he is a hunter. He's all about hunting animals. He kills animals for a living. Actually, literally just for sport, pretty much just for fun. And the fact that he's a millionaire, I mean, I guess that, I don't know. This just sounds really weird. But anyway, Sergei was trained as a child by Vladimir. When Sergei was still a child, Vladimir put his son through a rite of passage that gave him superhuman abilities. Which, to be fair, he did have powers in the comics, and I doubt it's going to be anything huge. It'll probably just be the basics of super strength, speed, agility, all that kind of stuff. And there's a note here that says this has all been adapted from the comics by reversing the characters. In Marvel Comics, Vladimir is the son and Sergei is the father. So now they switched around, so the Russell Crowe's character is Vladimir. He's the father of Aaron Taylor Johnson's Sergei. So definitely interesting right there. And then we move on to our villain side of things. So Sergei wants to put an end to a criminal organization dedicated to poaching animals led by a subject only known as the Chameleon. Now, the Chameleon has already been cast for this movie. Fred Hechinger is going to be playing the character. The Chameleon, of course, is a classic Spider-Man villain, also half-brother of Kraven the Hunter in the comics. That does come up later in this plot leak. And actually, recently I just finished watching The White Lotus on HBO Max. Fred Hechinger is amazing in that series. Honestly, I think probably my favorite character. If you haven't watched The White Lotus, you need to check it out. It's so good. But anyway, we're going to be having Chameleon in here. And the whole idea of him running an organization about poaching animals is very out of character for him as well. So that's And then Sergei apparently locates the members of this aforementioned organization and confronts them in a warehouse owned by him. It says owned by him, but I don't know if him is Sergei, he's the one that owns the warehouse, or the Chameleon owns the warehouse. This plot leak is kind of confusing. But anyway, then he finds a hunter outfit covered in animal skins. So it's supposedly going to be very similar to the lion's outfit that he wears from the comics, which looks really, really cool. And that's the main thing I was concerned about with this whole animal lover thing. When I first heard that, and if you check my video on that, the first thing I said was, okay, well then that means he's not going to wear his out from the comics. But apparently he is, because it's going to be to honor the animals, because Sergei puts on this suit and from now on he will use it to honor the animals, now becoming, quote, the hunter of these unscrupulous hunters. So they realize what it feels like to be the prey instead of the hunters. Okay. And then whoever wrote this plot leak, they have a bunch of own like self comments in here, and this is where it says my comment. This part of the suit leak seems incoherent to me, but it could all be coming from Sony. Exactly, it does seem very incoherent because like if he's an animal lover, why would he wear an animal skin, an animal fur to honor the animals? It just doesn't really make sense. But then again, like if we get to see him in the classic comics accurate lion skin outfit, I'm cool with it. I'll give him the pass. But after this, the accidents or incidents of Kraven chasing the criminal organization through the city streets, the FBI identifies him and goes after Sergei and also the Hunter organization. But at one point in the plot, Sergei is helped by a woman named Calypso Ezeli. Now, Calypso, we've already had the casting of the actress in this role. She in the comics is Kraven's love interest, so that's going to be a part of this film as well. Sergei then finds out that she was hired by her father, Vladimir, in order to get Sergei away from her father's plans, blah, blah, blah. Sergei confronts the leader of the organization, the famous Chameleon, and kills him. So that right there, I always hate when they kill off the villains of these movies, especially when they're such classic Spider-Man villains like this that could be used in the future to actually fight Spider-Man. But we find out something later in the post-credit scene that I'll talk about there. But after this, Calypso decides to help Sergei since she has fallen in love with him. Okay, sure. And then the real villain and shadowy leader of the criminal organization was Vladimir Kravenov, Sergei's father. So Sergei has to confront his father and ends up killing him, and then discovers that the Chameleon was his brother. So, yeah, I mean, it's very unoriginal, to be honest. Like, this whole storyline with, like, oh, his father being revealed as the main villain, like, I mean, I guess it works for the story, but at the same time, like, it's such a common trope that is used all the time in movies. So to see it again used here, it's, like, a bit boring, but whatever. And we do get the reveal there that, oh, the Chameleon is my brother. So that is a cool connection to the comics. I like that. But that's basically where the movie ends for this part. But then we do actually get into some post-credit scenes here, where in the first one, I really like this first one, it is revealed that Dimitri, aka the Chameleon, is not dead. So this is something I'm really excited for, because like if they can do like a fake out of like, oh, I killed him, and now he comes back to life, especially now that he knows that that's his brother, because if he doesn't even know that was his brother until after he's dead, that has like no emotion. So like we could see in a sequel to Kraven the Hunter, Kraven fighting the Chameleon again, but now knowing that that's his brother, that will be really interesting. Or at least, again, possibly seeing Chameleon go on to fight Spider-Man or do something like that in the future, possibly join the Sinister Six. Which, speaking to that, we then have our second post-credit scene, which is a lot less, I mean, it's cool, but it's really forced, just like the Morbius Sinister Six one, because we do have a connection to Spider-Man here, because Sergei is now known as Kraven without the Hunter, and learns over the radio of a major robbery in New York that left several injured, caused, according to the press, by a vulture and a vampire. So Kraven decides, I have to go hunt them down. And yeah, this is of course following up after the Morbius post-credit scene where Dr. Michael Morbius, he had a meeting with Michael Keaton's Adrian Toomes, aka the Vulture, and Vulture was like, hey, I just showed up here in this universe, no real explanation. Hey, I hope the food's better in this joint. Like, that's a stupid line. And he's like, hey, we should work together. Get some me and my buddies together. We're gonna go. This all has to do with Spider-Man. When like Morbius probably doesn't even have any idea who Spider-Man is. But anyway, now they're apparently in New York. They're committing crimes, which doesn't even make sense because again, Morbius was a good guy in that movie. So why is he a villain now? And why are they robbing banks and committing crimes? It doesn't make sense. I mean, the fact that they are in New York, that makes sense because, okay, they're going after Spider-Man. But then you have to keep in mind that this is a different universe. This is not the MCU universe with Tom Holland Spider-Man. So is it going to be Andrew Garfield Spider-Man maybe? That would be pretty awesome. I would definitely love that. But I don't know. It sounds like Kraven the Hunter. I mean, it makes sense for his character to be like, okay, there's a vampire and this vulture guy out there. I got to go hunt them. But inevitably, it's going to lead to Kraven the Hunter joining the Sinister Six as well, which, I mean, that's something I wanted from the beginning, is Kraven the Hunter to join the Sinister Six, but just the whole setup and the way that they're doing the Sinister Six is not good, because this is something I've wanted for years, literally since they first teased it in The Amazing Spider-Man 2. I got so excited for that. I was like, the Sinister Six is coming, it's happening. Then that went nowhere, and then we started getting the MCU stuff. Spider-Man Homecoming, we got Vulture, we got Scorpion tease, Prowler, Shocker, all that stuff. I was like, oh, the Sinister Six is coming. And now that they're actually doing it, again, it's just so forced, and it's... Plus, it's not even in the same universe as Tom Holland's Spider-Man. So, like, half these villains are just anti-heroes that have their own movies that don't even have a connection to Spider-Man. And I don't know. It's not sounding good, but I guess we'll see. We'll see what happens, I guess. But, guys, what do you think about this plot leak for Kraven the Hunter and these connections between Kraven the Hunter and the Sinister Six and Spider-Man, and also all this stuff with the Chameleon going on there, and him being an animal lover and also still wearing an animal fur? It doesn't make a lot of sense, but I don't know. I think Aaron Taylor Johnson is a great actor, so I feel like he's going to deliver a great performance. Just like how Jared Leto was one of the saving graces of Morbius, is that, you know, his performance was great. It's just everything else surrounding him was not the best. But hopefully things work out better for Kraven the Hunter. You know, like I said, I'm still excited for Sinister Six. I just wish it wasn't so forced and sloppily done. But yeah, so anyways, guys, thanks so much for watching. Please drop a like if you enjoyed this video and hit the subscribe button so I can keep it up to date on everything that goes on in the Marvel life.